Hey everyone, welcome back to The Daily Try and the first ever episode of 3 Minute Thursdays.
Travis's 3 Minute Thursday.
This is where I tell you something in the triathlon world in 3 minutes or less, hopefully. And it could be anything from triathlon history to triathlon tips, or maybe even my own triathlon racing and training. The possibilities are endless. And I wanted to start this because I have a list so long of triathlon videos and ideas that I wanted to make, but it's just me here. And sometimes the weeks just get away from me. And sometimes I get a little bit distracted. But even after a day of work, I feel like I can still make these videos happen and I can get some of these ideas out of my head that are driving me crazy because I want to share them with you. So without further ado, let's jump into this first episode, which is on a crazy triathlon record that I talked about a little bit in my last video. For most of you, this will come out on Friday, but I promise I'm going to try and stick to Thursdays in the future. So let's put 3 minutes on the clock somewhere and let's get into it. So, like I said, in my last video, I talked about the fact that I think a few records are going to fall in triathlon this year, especially on the run. But as I was researching the records, I found one that I actually didn't know, and that was Kristen Muller's 2:41 marathon from back in 2011 at Ironman UK, which is just crazy. It's the fastest ever marathon run by a female in an Ironman race. And it got me thinking, do I know all the triathlon records? And do you? But that's also why I thought it might be the theme of the next series of videos. Before we continue to talk about it, let's also just mention that it's hard to talk about records and it sometimes gets pretty argumentative because it's so hard in triathlon with so many variables and the courses are so different. There's so many dynamics to each race that it really is hard to compare, but man, it's ridiculously fun to talk about. And like I said, I think some records are going to be falling in the near future, so we better know about them. So this record from Muller is today's discussion because I think it's one of the craziest records that still stands today, and it might be one of the most difficult to beat. Another record that I thought was pretty unbeatable was Chrissie Wellington's overall fastest Ironman time, which actually Daniela Ryf broke this year at Challenge Roth.
Time, Laura, of 8:08:21. That is ridiculous.
I think this one could be beat potentially too, but it's going to be hard. To put this run into context, Anne Haug right now is widely considered the fastest runner in the sport, especially over the marathon. She broke the Kona course record with a 2:48 run, but her fastest ever marathon is only a 2:44:45 in an Ironman. And Laura Phillips is pretty close to that, just marginally behind her. But still, those two, who are considered two of the best runners in the sport right now, are still almost 3 minutes slower than Muller's record. And 2:41:57 is also, by the way, about the same time that Sam Lalo ran at the Ironman World Championships this year in Nice, and she did it without super shoes. Keep that in mind because that makes a huge difference. And to be honest, the more I look into it, the more impressed I am. That's because Ironman UK is known to have a super tough course, especially on the bike, where she actually took 5 hours and 37 minutes to do that ride, which is about an hour or more longer than what a lot of women are riding today. And yet she still pulled off that run and beat most of the men's, all but one, and all of the women by almost 20 minutes at least. It's just an unbelievable performance. Muller did come from a running background and was actually on the German national team for the steeplechase. She also became the German duathlon national champion in 2009, so she did have some speed in those legs. But to run a 6:11 per mile or 3:51 per kilometer for a whole marathon after doing the swim and the bike is something that just comes out of a special kind of day. In fact, she was never able to repeat a marathon even close to this one, according to her stats. So what do you think? Do you think this time can be beaten in the near future? Will we see this fall with some of the other records we might expect to fall? Is Anne Haug the one to do it? She has run a 2:36 open marathon before and said with proper training she could even go sub 2:30, but then also said Ironmans and marathons are totally different things. Maybe even somebody we're not even thinking about at the moment, but who is currently running fast in the short or middle distance events. And to end this, if you want to be a little bit more like Kristen and run this fast, perhaps her secret comes from something I saw in an old interview while researching for this episode. She said she likes chili and ginger. So maybe that's her secret. Oh, and by the way, Kristen is now a mother of 2 since then, and she will be back racing again soon. So thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Have a good one.